Hello everyone. In this video, we will explore one of the most significant and inspiring stories in Islamic history, the story of Prophet Ibrahim and the sacrifice of his son, Prophet Ismail. Why did Prophet Ibrahim want to sacrifice his son? In this video, we will answer this question. This story was not only a monumental test of faith, but it also carries profound messages in Islamic teachings. Join us as we uncover this great secret. Number 1, the sacrifice of Prophet Ismail. Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, was a man of deep faith, always searching for the truth. Despite living in a society that was immersed in idol worship, his heart was always drawn toward the one true God. His quest was not just to find the truth, but to pass it on to future generations. For many years, Prophet Ibrahim yearned for a son, one who would carry forward his mission and legacy of monotheism. However, the reality of his old age and his wife Sarah's inability to bear children made this desire seem impossible. Yet despite all the obstacles, Prophet Ibrahim never wavered in his faith. He continued to pray, not just for a child, but for a son who would follow the righteous path. His prayers were filled with hope, even in the face of societal doubts and personal challenges. Over time, as his hope began to fade and people began to mock him, Prophet Ibrahim remained steadfast. His unwavering belief in God's mercy and power made him certain that, in his own time, God would answer his prayers. Ibrahim's heart was filled with devotion to God, and he continued to trust that Allah would provide him with the offspring he longed for. The moment Prophet Ibrahim was given the good news of the birth of his son Ismail, it was a profound sign of God's mercy and power. The birth of Ishmael, was not just a personal blessing for Prophet Ibrahim and his wife Sarah, but a miraculous sign that demonstrated God's ability to transcend all natural laws. Even when all odds were against it, his advanced age, his wife's previous barrenness, God granted him the son he had longed for. The birth of Ismail not only filled Prophet Ibrahim's heart with joy, but also gave him a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that his legacy would continue through his son. From the very beginning, Ismail exhibited qualities that showed his divine upbringing. The joy Prophet Ibrahim felt was not just because he had a son, but because he had a son who embodied the values of faith and righteousness. Ismail's birth was a reminder that God's plans are always greater than human expectations, and no matter the circumstances, his will prevails. One night, Prophet Ibrahim received a dream from God in which he commanded him to sacrifice his beloved son, Ismail. The dream was a divine test that would challenge Prophet Ibrahim's faith in ways he could not have imagined. It was a command that went against everything human nature would dictate. For a father's love for his son is the most natural and sacred bond. Yet Prophet Ibrahim knew that this command was a test from God, and he had to submit completely to the divine will. Prophet Ibrahim's response to this dream was not one of doubt or hesitation. He knew that this command, however difficult, was a test of his submission to God. He immediately sought to confirm the divine message, understanding that his willingness to sacrifice his son was a profound act of obedience. In Surah As-Safat, Ayah 102, Allah recounts this moment when Ibrahim asked his son about his vision. When he reached the age at which he could walk with him, Ibrahim said, "O my son, I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So what do you think?" His question to Ismail was not only a reflection of his faith, but also an example of the consultation between father and son, both of whom were deeply devoted to God. Prophet Ibrahim's response to God's command was not only a demonstration of obedience, but also an act of extraordinary courage. He understood the significance of this test and knew that no matter how painful it was, he must follow God's will without question. Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his son revealed the depth of his commitment to God. He viewed this act as the ultimate expression of faith. where the will of God surpassed all personal desires and attachments. The courage displayed by Prophet Ibrahim in this moment was unparalleled. He knew that by following God's command, he would lose what was most precious to him. Yet his faith in God's plan remained unwavering. In this moment, Prophet Ibrahim's submission to God's will embodied the essence of Islam, complete surrender to the divine. Number 2, divine wisdom and the test. The trial faced by Prophet Ibrahim was not just a personal challenge, but a universal lesson for all of humanity. The command to sacrifice his son, the most precious thing to him, was a test designed to show the true nature of faith. In this trial, Prophet Ibrahim exemplified that true faith is not just belief, but active submission to God's will, even when the situation is incomprehensible. This test was a reminder that faith is proven in moments of great hardship and sacrifice. The ability to submit to God, despite the most difficult circumstances, is the essence of true devotion. This trial was not just a test for Ibrahim, but also a lesson for all believers. It teaches us that there is nothing in life that should take precedence over obeying God. Even when his commands seem difficult or beyond our understanding, true believers must trust in God's wisdom and mercy. The sacrifice of Ismail represents the ultimate act of obedience, showing that no matter how great the personal cost, submission to God is paramount. Prophet Ismail, peace be upon him, played a pivotal role in this divine trial. His reaction to his father's request was not one of rebellion or resistance, but one of absolute trust in God's will. Ismail's words to his father, "O my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, inshallah, among the patient ones." Quran Surah As-Safat 102, reflect his deep faith and submission to God's will, despite the personal cost. Ismail's response teaches us that faith is not confined to age or experience. Even as a young boy, Ismail demonstrated profound devotion to God, and his willingness to sacrifice his life for God's command shows the purity of his faith. His role in this test highlights that true submission to God's will requires no hesitation, no matter how challenging the situation may seem. At the moment when Prophet Ibrahim raised his hand to carry out God's command, God intervened, sending a ram to be sacrificed in place of Ismail. This divine intervention revealed the true nature of God's wisdom and mercy. Even when God's commands appear harsh or difficult, they are always laced with wisdom and compassion. This moment teaches us that God's mercy prevails in every situation, and his plans are always filled with divine wisdom. The ram's substitution for Ismail symbolizes God's mercy and grace. Allah's intervention serves as a reminder that even when we face the most difficult tests, God's mercy will always provide us with the guidance and support we need. The Quran, Surah As-Safat, Ayah 103, beautifully captures this moment. So we ransomed him with a great sacrifice. This was a divine reminder that God's mercy always follows his commands, even in moments of testing. Number 3, lessons and messages from the story of Prophet Ismail's sacrifice. The greatest lesson from the story of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail is that true submission to God's will is the highest form of worship. Both Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail showed us that nothing is more important than following God's commands. Their willingness to sacrifice everything for the sake of God exemplifies the essence of faith in Islam. Submission to God's will is not just an act of obedience, but a reflection of deep trust and faith in his wisdom. This story teaches us that in life, we must always be willing to surrender our most cherished possessions and desires if God requires it. True submission is about accepting God's will with complete trust, knowing that his wisdom and mercy are far greater than our understanding. It is only through submission to his will that we can attain peace and fulfillment. Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail's willingness to make the ultimate sacrifice for God teaches us the importance of devotion. Their story serves as a reminder that no matter how difficult the sacrifices may seem, they are nothing compared to the reward from God. The true meaning of sacrifice is not about giving up things, but about giving up what is most dear to us in order to seek God's pleasure. This lesson is essential for all believers. In Islam, sacrifice is not just about material possessions, but about letting go of everything that stands between us and God. It is about purifying our hearts and minds and dedicating ourselves to God completely. This is the message Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail imparted to us. True devotion to God requires sacrifice, but it also brings the greatest rewards. In Islam, sacrifice is more than a physical act. It is an expression of love, devotion, and submission to God. The willingness to give up whatever we hold dear in this world for the sake of God reflects our commitment to Him. This sacrifice is not always easy, but it is necessary to attain closeness to God. It requires the believer to trust that whatever is given up for God's sake will be replaced with something far better in the hereafter. Sacrifice in Islam is a reminder that we are not attached to the material world. It teaches us to prioritize our relationship with God over everything else. Every act of sacrifice is a step closer to purifying our hearts and attaining true piety. This is the ultimate lesson we learn from the story of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail. Number 4, the power of divine mercy and grace. The trials we face in life are opportunities to experience God's mercy and grace. The story of Prophet Ibrahim's test highlights that even in the most trying moments, God's mercy is always present. It was God's mercy that intervened and stopped the sacrifice, replacing it with a ram. This moment serves as a reminder that God's mercy is always greater than our trials. We must learn to recognize His mercy in every challenge we face, trusting that His plan for us is filled with love and compassion. God's mercy is not a one-time event. It is present in every aspect of our lives. The story of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail encourages us to reflect on our own lives and recognize the divine mercy that surrounds us. It is through God's mercy that we find strength to endure trials, and it is through His grace that we are able to navigate life's difficulties. Embracing God's mercy means trusting that He is always with us, guiding and supporting us through every challenge. Number 5, conclusion. The story of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail is one of the most powerful examples of faith, sacrifice, and submission to God's will. It teaches us that the ultimate purpose of life is to follow God's commands, no matter how difficult they may be. The willingness to sacrifice everything for God is the highest expression of faith. Through this story, we learn the importance of submission, devotion, and trust in God's wisdom and mercy. We are all faced with trials in life, but if we remain steadfast in our faith and trust in God, we will overcome every challenge. Just as Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail remained obedient to God's command, we too must strive to submit to His will in all aspects of our lives. By doing so, we will find peace, fulfillment, and the promise of eternal rewards.